back, everybody. I have just recently started to use the community tab. Before, this was something that was only allowed to bigger channels, so it's really cool that YouTube's opened that up. I'm going to be using that for polls, random posts, so be sure to interact with that there. I noticed that I kind of got a split vote on a PCT gear video and the video I'm making today on the 3 supplements that will help you hike further, faster, and better. And I think I'm going to wait on the PCT gear video because I have some things I need to iron out there first. So let's get into today 3 supplements that I think can just promote an overall better lifestyle. Doesn't necessarily have to be relevant to hiking, but they are extremely relevant to hiking, long distance exercise, and just overall well-being. Okay, I want to start this video off with a disclaimer. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I can't give you medical advice. These are just supplements that have worked for me. They've been scientifically proven to be safe, and you can benefit from them if you're a long distance hiker or a person who does strenuous physical activity in any form or fashion. Okay, before we even start talking about supplement number 1, which for me is creatine hydrochloride. Creatine has a lot of misconceptions around it. It does not damage your kidneys. It doesn't cause excess dehydration. It won't have any long-term side effects. Creatine is actually one of the most scientifically studied supplements in sports medicine. Okay, let's get into why I even recommend creatine in the first place. Number 1, creatine helps ATP production. ATP is the literal source of fuel that is stored in your muscles for high intensity activities. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. That's only for high intensity strength exercise. Well, while that might be true, and that's where creatine has been mostly significantly studied, they've also definitely proven that creatine helps with muscle recovery and creating new muscle nerve pathways and creating new muscle fibers. So if your legs are literally hiking for 15, 5, 20 miles a day, depending on what's a lot of exercise stress to your body, then creatine is going to help with that recovery. When you go to sleep that night, your body goes into a recovery mode. It's trying to repair those muscle fibers that have been torn from the day before. Creatine definitely help because on trail, you're not getting most of the muscle meats that you would that would have creatine in them to help you recover. You're not cooking up chicken on the trail or steak or eating eggs. So this is a really good supplement that you're most likely not getting if you're a thru hiker or a backpacker on the trail. It's just allowing your body to basically store more energy more efficiently and your muscles to develop in a better way. In most scientific literature, creatine's shown to boost strength and lean muscle performance in 5 to 7 days. Now here's something that I'll add about creatine. Depending on what type of creatine you take, whether it's monohydrate or hydrochloride, you're going to have to vary in the amounts that you do take. That is why I do prefer hydrochloride, because it's more bioavailable to the body, meaning that you can absorb it easier. So when it comes down to creatine supplementation, you do have to be aware that a saturation phase is required. So what that means is that usually within the first week to 5 days, you front load the supplementation. Meaning that with hydrochloride, for example, in the first week, I would take 5 grams every day for a week. And then from there, once my body is saturated with the creatine, I can only take 2 grams to 1.5 grams, and it will keep that same added benefit. I've been taking creatine for over 10 years now, and I've never had an adverse side effect. I take it on the trail, it helps me recover, and I definitely notice a difference on the bigger days that I really push myself when I wake up the next day. There's a ton of other research that supports that not only creatine does it help with just muscle production and recovery, but it also helps boost cognitive development. It can help against Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and some other things that people don't necessarily associate with creatine. There's a lot of added benefits to taking creatine, and I will attach some of the scientific literature below. But overall, I think the synopsis here is that creatine on trail will benefit you from a mental perspective, a recovery perspective, and just an overall endurance perspective of feeling more refreshed and just stronger physically on the trail. You could have a huge benefit here from just adding creatine into your daily routine. Maybe you're just not a big hiker in general, but you do go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week. Well, creatine is definitely something that can help you with your recovery, muscle production, etc. Not only does it do all the things that we've talked about, but it's also been proven to help with blood sugar as well. So they did a 12-week study on a pretty decent sample size of various people. And what they found is that combining creatine on a daily supplement routine helped those with a high-carb meal who did exercise as opposed to those who didn't. Meaning that it helped with their insulin response and just their overall blood sugar levels in general. And lastly, I want to just say here, all in all, creatine is very safe and effective. It's been studied for over 2 centuries, and there have been multiple clinical trials on humans that lasted more than 5 years that showed 0 adverse side effects. Friends and family that say creatine will do this or that, it's just simply not true. I've been taking it for almost 10 years now, and I've had 0 side effects. I've only had benefits from taking creatine and supplementing it in my daily life. And whether you're a intense power lifter or a hiker, or if you do any sort of physical exercise, you can benefit from using creatine as a supplement cognitively and physically. Magnesium is incredibly important for your overall body function. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about you being a hiker or a long distance marathon runner. Magnesium is just essential, period. And most people in the United States are extremely deficient in magnesium. Magnesium is responsible for energy creation, protein formation, gene maintenance, muscle movements, and your nervous system regulation. Those are all very important things, and they're all very, very crucial when it comes to being on trail or any other physical activity. So one of the biggest things that magnesium does is it helps disperse blood sugar to your muscles during exercise, which removes lactate. When lactate builds up in the muscles, that's what kind of gives you that additional soreness while, in addition to the muscle fibers being torn and broken down. In a study of over 2,500 people ranging from men and women, those who took magnesium saw a significant increase in muscle endurance and power when it came from high intensity exercise to endurance exercise. So while creatine, yes, is definitely more of a high intensity boost, magnesium can be used on both sides of the coin for just overall muscle movement and neurological function. So whether that be long distance hiking or a bench press, magnesium is going to help you in both regards. Another huge benefit to magnesium is not so much from the physical aspect, but from the mental aspect. There was a study of over 8,800 elderly people who were 65 and above, and those who were found to be magnesium deficient were 25% more likely to be diagnosed with depression. And there was a more generic study of around 200 people that when they took about 250 milligrams of magnesium for about 6 to 12 weeks, they noticed that more than half the group had less anxiety and just a better mental stability among them than those who were not taking the magnesium. And mind you, this doesn't even mean that the patients were magnesium deficient before. Just even the extra supplementation of magnesium in their daily routines resulted in this better mental clarity. It's also been found that about 48% of people with type 2 diabetes are all magnesium deficient. And this is because magnesium helps regulate that blood sugar and insulin sensitivity. And for those who just aren't that familiar with insulin sensitivity, that is just the reaction that your body has to eating foods. That is why most people with diabetes find that they have to supplement with insulin because their pancreas is just simply not producing the amount of insulin that their body really needs them to. So taking magnesium can help regulate that and just make your insulin sensitivity higher, which is actually a good thing. And linking this all back to insulin sensitivity and blood pressure, magnesium has definitely been shown to have, just cardio benefits in general. Most people who took magnesium for an extended period of 12 weeks showed just a better cholesterol panel and overall just a better heart healthy environment for their body. Another thing that magnesium will help you do is reduce inflammation. So obviously on trail or any other exercise, you are putting your body under neurological and physical and muscular stress. So that is going to sometimes increase inflammation if your body is trying to recover. So with the CRP, which is the protein that increases when you have inflammation, magnesium helps reduce that. So that's just another thing that is an added benefit of magnesium. One thing that I've noticed with magnesium is that when I do supplement it on trail the night before, I wake up feeling a lot more refreshed than not. And I have specifically tried to dissect this study down on myself from taking magnesium for half the season and not taking magnesium for the other half of the season. Another crucial part about taking magnesium is that 50 to 60% of your body's magnesium storage is found in your bones. So clearly when you are, once again, doing some sort of physical activity, whether it be long distance hiking or anything else, you're going to find that that creates stress on your bones, whether it be your back, your legs, your hip joints, whatever that might be. And there's been almost 12 different types of studies that all showed that taking magnesium helped improve bone density and just the overall mineral health in their bone marrow, etc. And healthier bones just leads to less injury and less fatigue on trail. And this is my favorite benefit of magnesium by far, is sleep. In a study of 4,800 adults, magnesium on average reduced their time to fall asleep by 17 minutes. And this is due to the neurotransmitters that it helps release that just gets your body into a deeper form of sleep, which then again, I know a lot of people who struggle to fall asleep in the backcountry or on trail. I'm telling you, this has changed the game for me, and it was something that I took before I did long distance hiking, so I imagine that it might help, but like I said, I kind of broke that down and dissected it for myself with using magnesium and not using magnesium. And I can tell you that this is something that I will not leave home without, because it really does change the game that much for me when it comes to sleep in the backcountry or even just at home. And obviously, better sleep, better cognitive and physical function, which leads to more miles and less fatigue on trail, or just feeling better in general. All right, now there's a lot of different types of magnesium that you can take. This kind right here, I've been taking for quite some time, and this is magnesium carbonate, which isn't terrible, but it's not the best bioavailable form of magnesium, which I have switched to magnesium glycinate. Magnesium glycinate is just easier absorbed by the body, and one stipulation I want to make about magnesium is that if you overdo magnesium carbonate, you can find yourself in an interesting bathroom situation on trail or just at home. So be warned about that. Test your limits with magnesium and just find your sweet spot at first, because you'll find that if you do have a very, very bad magnesium deficiency, your body might not be ready to intake 700 milligrams or 1,000 milligrams of magnesium when you first start supplementing. The bottom line here is, everybody, that magnesium is going to help with your sleep, your muscle, your bone, and overall health. So why not take it whether you hike or not? And if you are hiking, there's a huge benefit here, because most likely on trail you are not eating foods to get enough magnesium. And lastly, Shilajit, which is a interesting supplement that you've probably never heard of, and for a good reason. It's a little bit more on the underground of natural health, which I'm more into, but I'm going to explain why I enjoy it and what benefit that it's brought me. You might be asking yourself, what the hell is Shilajit in the first place? And that's a good question, because most people aren't aware. It's a mineral that's mainly found in the Himalayas that is the layers of compressed plant and animal decomposed matter that's been just pressurized by it being layered into the rock. This is usually extracted and it's formed into a tar or resin. So most of your Shilajit you should get in a third-party tested resource. I will link legitimate Shilajit that I found on Amazon, and it's real. Because a lot of the things that you'll find with Shilajit is it's great if you know that you're taking the real deal. So just wanted to clarify what it was, and I'll show you all how you can find real Shilajit versus the fake stuff. Alright, this is for my men and women out there. The first thing you're going to notice when you start supplementing with Shilajit is your testosterone levels. And I think a lot of women think that, you know, I want to stay away from testosterone, it's bad, it's only a male thing, when really having too much estrogen as a female can be bad too. You can experience fatigue, weight gain, and a lot of different things that just frankly won't make you feel your best. Shilajit isn't going to drive your testosterone to abnormal levels. So ladies, don't worry, it's completely normal. Your body will regulate the hormones naturally, but if you are lower in testosterone and you do experience fatigue and some of these symptoms that might be associated with low T, you might want to check this out. As for my men, you've probably heard all the info commercials and you've probably heard just the buzz around low T anyway, but having low T is extremely dangerous because as a male, it can lead to not only types of cancers, but it can also lead to extreme chronic fatigue, mental disorders, and just feeling overall like, you know, there's just something not right. You can't explain it, but you don't know what it is. And that can range from how you sleep to how you perform physically and everything in between. In a clinical study with a significant amount of males between the ages of 45 to 50, what they found after taking Shilajit for more than 90 consecutive days with a 250 milligram dose is that the group of men that were actually given real Shilajit versus the placebo showed a significantly higher testosterone level. Okay, aging. So one thing that Shilajit is really known for is its fulvic acid. This is a really strong antioxidant that helps with inflammation and the aging of the cell in general. So supplementing with real Shilajit can actually show a decreased amount of aging and just an overall better sense of well-being, which, you know, that could result in a poor lower back feeling or your joints feeling somewhat crickety. I've already had one back surgery and I'm only 29, so a lot of this led me to kind of find things that could help with inflammation besides taking prescribed steroids and going in for cortisone shots, because I've already been down that road and quite frankly, they're just band-aids to your real problem, and a lot of these supplements have actually helped me feel and perform much, much better. So there's other numerous benefits from Shilajit besides what I've listed here today, like heart health and just overall detoxification of the body. But something that you do want to be aware of is that while there are no shown side effects of taking Shilajit over time, you do want to be very, very aware of where you're getting it and what kind of Shilajit you're taking. So always buy Shilajit that's been third-party tested in a lab, which most Shilajit does because they're aware that consumers have this knowledge and know that that's what they're looking for. I will link my Shilajit source in the comments below, and it's third-party tested, and surprisingly, it's really not that expensive of a supplement. Well, that about does it, guys. I hope this was informative. I know this is a longer video because I really didn't want to shortcut the information. Like I said, I'll link some of the scientific research below, and hopefully this just gets you looking, in your own research purposes towards this trifecta of supplements. It's helped me a lot from a trail perspective of endurance and just feeling better overall. And whether you're a hiker or a long distance hiker or you're just someone who does any other sort of physical activity, taking these 3 supplements is going to do you no harm. If anything, it's going to make you feel better, perform better, and I think you'll really, really enjoy the benefits of what they have to offer. Okay, so let me know if it was helpful down below, and maybe if you're a medical professional out there and you want to just absolutely debunk everything I said, I welcome your comments as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.